Hi, this is Tom, and we're going to talk about in this video conditional probabilities. I have it down here in the corner, and I'll show you why. Because notice that we ended our last problem looking at the probability of females, or the probability that a person drives is either a female or a truck. Sorry, that was hard to say. But what if we change the problem just slightly? And that's what we're going to do and understand what a conditional probability problem is. Again, using females and trucks. So a conditional probability is one that has a restriction. And the result of the restrictions, it creates a dependent event. Dependent events. Or I could write events, dependent events. So here we go. The first thing to notice is let's look at our problem. It says, find the probability that a randomly selected person drives a truck given that the person is female. Well, right there, this piece, given that the person is female, that's the restriction. That's our restriction. So let's see how we work with that and how we write it. The first thing is the notation. And we write it this way. We say that the probability that someone drives a truck given that they're female, that's how we would write it. So the restriction is always the second position, and this is just a vertical line. That's all it is, but it's read as given that or provided that. And what they mean is given that something has already happened or you're already restricted to. Okay, well, let's take a look at this. If we look at our problem here, where it says that we're restricted to females. Well, females are this row here. So if we look at this row, it's now we want the probability that the person drives a truck given that they're a female. Well, there's only 2 females that drive a truck out of the 30 females. So all we're interested in this problem are these 2 people and this 30 females. And so we would say that the probability that the person drives a truck, given that they're female, is the 2 out of 30. And that's the answer. But the next little bit is, how would you come up with this if you didn't have a table? What is the proper notation and how does it work? Well, let's take a look. Here's what we wrote. We have a few things. This 2 is the probability that someone drives a truck and is female. And that's the 2 out of the 55. The next piece that we have is the probability of a female, and that's the 30 out of the 55. And notice we're using the same numbers that we used in the above problem, but we're using them in a different way. So here's what we know. We know this. We know that we have, for example, 2 out of 55, and we have a 30 out of 55. And somehow what we want to get with those 2 numbers is we want to get to 2 out of 30. Well, my question then is, what do we do? What operation? And maybe if we can figure that out, we can figure out how the problem works in general. So let's try this. Let's add the results and see if that works. See if that's it. Add. Well, if I add 2 30ths, or 2 55ths plus 30 55ths, well, that's 32 out of 55. Well, that's clearly not the answer we're after. All right, let's try subtraction. So if I take the 2 out of 55 and I subtract 30 out of 55, Well, it's a negative number, and so we know that that's not going to work, so nope. What if we switch them? What if we tried 30 out of 55 and we subtracted 2 out of 55? Well, that's 28 out of 55. And again, no, that didn't work either. All right, let's try another one. How about if we multiply? So if I take 30 out of 55 and I multiply that by 2 out of 55, well, that is, there's probably some reductions. Like maybe I could make 30 out of 55. Let's see, I could make this a 6 over 11. So if I did that, that's 12 out of 565. That is just not the same as 2 out of 30. All right, let's try division. What if we divide? All right, so multiply, that didn't work. So let's try division, see if that works. So if I take a 30 out of 55 and I divide it by a 2 out of 55, well, remember that's 30 out of 55 times, and then we flip the second fraction, which is called its reciprocal, 55 over 2. Notice the 55s, well, those would cancel. And that would leave me with 30 over 2. Look at that. We are very close. We wanted 2 over 30, so it's the wrong way. Let's try the other division. What if I switch the order? What if I take 2 out of 55 and divide it by 30 out of 55? Well, that's 2 over 55 times 55 over 30. Oh, and look at that, because the 55s will cancel, and what I'm left with is the right answer, 2 out of 30. So here's what we just found. We just found that the probability of a person driving a truck, given that they're female, is equal to, well, the 2 out of 35 we set up above, that was truck and female, so the probability they drive a truck and are female, divided by the 30 out of 55, that was right here, that was the probability of a female. Probability of a female. Well, notice that this really becomes the probability that they drive a truck and are female, and we just write it divided by the probability of a female. And the restriction, notice this, that the restriction becomes the denominator of the problem. And that kind of helps you when you need to go and set these up to solve them. So if you work these, if they're a table, they're much easier. If it's just the verbiage, take some time to set up this formula that we have, written right here. And I think you'll find the problems come together nicely. Hope that helps, and thanks for watching.